If you click on this video, this is not a re-upload. It's just a compilation of all the cut content I did into one singular video. It's a huge selection of all the cut content I talked about Call of Duty Zombies, ranging from World at War all the way to Vanguard. They're all closely knitted together. So World at War is just huge, one big selection, and the other ones are too. Before I talk about World at War and the whole rest of the video, I want to thank you all for subscribing because we recently hit 3K subs. I'm still doing that sub goal of hitting 5K by the end of August. Because when I hit that goal, I'm going to be doing my first stream ever on this channel, and it's going to be a Q&A stream. If any of you guys have clicked on this video, before you forget, don't forget to subscribe. With that out of the way, let's get into the cut zombie content. It's going to be a very long video, so sit back and relax. Let's start with the first game, World at War. There was 5 cut maps for World at War. 3 maps were intended for a 4th map pack. World at War only had 3 map packs. The map pack 4 was going to be the last one, and I guess this is where the first idea to start the next DLC going all out in zombies. But this map pack was cancelled because Modern Warfare 2 just released, so to the team, it didn't make any sense to waste resources on this 4th map pack since Modern Warfare 2 was going to take that attention away. All these maps were in planning phases, except for one. One was about to be done, but got released for a different game. But for the 3 maps for the map pack, one was called Coast. Now for all of them, there's limited information, just only game information, with some files having, well, not that much information to go digest off of. We can guess with the map name Coast, it would probably have been something similar to, well, the first original mode that predated zombies that they're going to do a D-Day opening. Because that was the original game mode before zombies came to existence. Just shameless plug to my other video where I talked about that too. But Coast was scrapped and reworked into Call of the Dead, which Call of the Dead released for Black Ops 1. Now back in the day, there was a mod that replicated the Coast map, but I think it's been lost to internet history. It's probably super old, so there's no way of downloading it. I might be wrong on that, but you can find it for Black Ops 3 as there's something similar exactly like to it. There's another map called Farm. This map could have probably used reused assets from the Soviet campaign, you know, when that one mission where you attack the farms in the German areas. They probably would have reused assets from that type of area. But there's leftover models that there's supposed to be a truck right there, which is a German truck, and the Type 94. But that's about it. We're just only going based off the name, and I think that they're probably going to reuse assets because that's how it was in the original COD Zombies mode, as they only had limited resources to work on this mode, which again, I talked about in a different video. The 3rd map was called Makin, and I think this is based off the atoll in the Pacific Island, so probably a second Shinonuma. Or it might have been the original plans for Shinonuma, but for this map, they're just leftover script files. Also for this map, it could have been a Japanese bunker, like from the US campaign, or even 2, a Japanese trench system. So those were the 3 maps for the 4th map pack. There's 2 other ones, as the other one is the most infamous one, the Paris map. Before talking about the Paris map, all these maps were talked about in Greece. If you go to the boards, there's teaser images around. One you can see the coast, one you can see the other one, and one I think you can make out the Makin coast, but there probably might be something different. So there's ones that in the background you can see the Eiffel Tower, which is going to be the infamous Paris map. But I'll talk about the Paris map more in detail in Black Ops 1 because that's where the main focus was going to be on, because Paris was replaced by Moon. But it is interesting that they were trying to work on Paris map since with World at War, because they've been dying to make a Paris map since beginning with World at War. But I'm going to talk about that more in detail in Black Ops 1 when we get to that section. The last cut map that was supposed to release in World at War was Theater. Well, we already played Theater because this is Keen Arthur Tilton. Theater was almost practically done, but they just ported it to Black Ops 1 and just finished it over there. As they had the same issue with the 4th map pack that Model for 2 was already released, so they just went to work on the new game Black Ops 1. So they reallocated a lot of resources to that map. It's funny, if you play Keen Arthur Tilton, it does feel like that has that World at War feel. But those are all the cut maps for World at War. World at War did not have any cut wonder weapons. Despite being the first of the Call of Duty Zombies franchise, well, it didn't have any information about cut wonder weapons. But did at least have some cut weapons that were supposed to be from campaign and be intended to be used for multiplayer and zombies. Basically, they're the same thing, as they're going to basically be transferred over to zombies. With the first gun, the Bren. Bren was an LMG that was used by the British Army. This LMG, apparently for Wikipedia, lasted till 2006 and was in service from 1930 well to 2006. This gun is very old and was intended to be used in World War for the campaign. As well, in the future, I'm going to do a video on the other extra stuff that was cut from every Call of Duty campaign, even to some cancelled Call of Duty games too. The Bren was one of the weapons that was intended for the British campaign, but ended up getting cancelled. The images we have is the model of it and the create class icon, and has some leftover animations, as the animations are similar to Call of Duty 2. Obviously, since this was cut early in development, there is no pack-a-punch weapon name for this, or even a model of it, but by speculation, we can safe to say that the Bren was supposed to be used in Zombies too, but didn't seem the limelight of day. And also too, since I talked about the cut British campaign, there was 2 more British weapons that were supposed to be intended for zombies. One, the bolt action Lee Enfield, would have joined the family of bolt action rifles inside World at War. That's the same thing as the Bren, as has all the extra stuff about the icons and the extra animations in it, but that's all the information we have about the landfield. Now the last British weapon is the Sten. It's a submachine gun and is one of the most cheapest weapons that British could ever produce. As during World War II they mass produced this weapon since it had low cost. So in a sense it's kind of weird that they didn't include the Sten, but then again they did have the Type 100, which is similar to the Sten but by a little bit. They almost look identical if you look at some of the pictures, but they're really different as the different ammo type. And also too, the Sten did outproduce the Type 100, as the Type 100, well, gun wasn't produced as much, as opposed to the Sten, as the Sten had 3.7 million units, as that's how much it was produced. As for the Type 100, well, it is believed to be around 10,000. So yeah, the Sten outbeats Type 100 in terms of production. Also too, the Sten was used in some partisan groups around Europe. So it was really weird why they didn't add this gun. Like I said earlier, players might get confused with the Sten and the Type 100 because I was one of those people that got confused when playing old World War II games. I got them really confused. I thought the Type 100 was a British weapon too, and I thought the Sten was a Japanese weapon. But then again, I was a kid and, well, was really dumb. But like with the other British weapons, there's models, icons, and animations with it. You can access them with the mod tools, but I don't have the mod tools or even know how to access them, but they're there. There's two more weapons, but I'm gonna leave the coolest one as the last entry. One of the cut weapons is the PPSH-43, which is a variant of the PPSH, but the one we get in the game is the PPSH-41, which is the wooden stock. The Soviets designed this gun to be a cheaper alternative to the PPSH-41. But they ended up dropping this project because, well, the PPSH-41 was already in mass production and, well, it didn't really make sense to replace this gun with that gun. But still was heavily used in World War II, but ended up having 2.2 million units, but the PPSH-43 being produced. It is unclear why they cut this weapon, but I think they cut it because it's probably too similar to the 41, because, well, they are basically variants of each other. Wouldn't make sense to have the same gun. Well, the 43 is slightly different than the 41, as well the 43 is just more metal. This gun was cut in early in development, as it does not have a created class image, but just a model icon. Same with the British weapons, it didn't even hit the production of zombies yet. Now I saved the last for the cut weapons for World at War, as apparently we were supposed to get a katana. This weapon would have been really badass if we got it. Imagine using this in Shino Numa, it would have been really cool, but it sucks that this content was cut. But out of all the cut weapons, it seems that this weapon was nearly completed. As in the game files, apparently it appeared that you could pick it up off the ground. So that suggests that it was nearly completed, but ended up getting scrapped altogether for no reason. Probably had to do with the crunch time they have for World at War, so they end up scrapping it and had to fix on the other stuff too. So this awesome weapon ended up getting scrapped. But it's kind of interesting that they dealt with melee weapons back in the day, but they probably didn't intend it for zombies yet, as this was really early in development, as zombies was just barely just a concept. We were supposed to get an M3 grease gun, even the same one from Call of Duty 2. Another weapon but with an attachment was the Mosin Nagant with a grenade launcher, but it is very unfinished and it looks like it's not even used at all, even though there's pictures of it on the wiki. Now for the cut Pack-a-Punch variants, there was 4 of them. One was called the Eviscerator that was intended for the Arasaka, and apparently it was canon at an early stage of the game, as there's no engravings on it or it doesn't even have the Pack-a-Punch camo on it. There's a Pack-a-Punch variant of the Mosin Nagant, and it was unnamed and even untextured too. You only obtained it through console commands. And the other one too is for the Springfield, one of the worst guns in Call of Duty history in zombies. This one was unnamed like the Mosin Nagant, as there's no Pack-a-Punch variant name for it, and even for the textures of it. And lastly, the last Pack-a-Punch variant was for the double barrel shotgun. It was called the Snuff Box. So this one was completely finished. They probably forgot to coat it in, as they were probably doing last finishing touches with Derice, so it's most likely they forgot to put this weapon in the game. You can still obtain it through modding or console commands. For World at War, there was supposed to be another game mode. Despite being survival mode, another game mode called Payload. This game mode was that players would have to escort a payload under time pressure. And if they didn't, well, the game will fail, obviously. The script and the map file can be found in the mod tools. And with the map file, this would suggest that there have only been specific maps designed for this game mode. Now, I did say in the other video with the cut maps that we were supposed to get a lot of maps for World at War, but ended up getting cut out. A payload would have been mostly used for all these maps. There's no screenshots of this game mode, but there is one that shows that what would the text would have shown if this game mode was playing. So I'm going to show it to you, it's going to be up in the screen. It just would have been like any basic payload game mode for any other thing, but instead with zombies now. It would have been really a cool game mode, but it's also showing too that some of the developers back in the day were still trying to make new game modes for the early zombies games. Because later on, with the few new game modes we only got, well, they only started with Black Ops 2 with Churn and Grief. It seems like they wanted to do a work on this, something similar to new game modes from all the way back from World at War. And on the topic of Churn, well, apparently there was another game mode, or they're probably in the plans of doing it, but there was player-controlled zombies. Probably this was the primitive version of Churn back in the day. Probably, because there was a separate script that the player will become zombified. It would give the player the brains weapon. I didn't mention this in the other list, but here it is, the brains weapon. It's basically the perspective of what the zombies see. and the animation is fully kitted out, as you can see brief moments of it in the Varrook trailer. But also too, I've seen this before, not with console commands or when it was cut, because when there was a lot of hackers on World of War for the Xbox 360, you could pick up this weapon. Pretty sure some of you have seen this weapon too. That's the only way to access it from the console commands. While having the brains type of weapon, it will set their movement speed to 30% and cause all zombies to ignore that player that just recently became a zombie. But with the zombified player becoming down, they can be revived by other player zombies, as it's quoted inside the wiki. And there's a splash of text when you become zombified. I have it in the thumbnail, but you can see it here too. It says that you have joined the undead. It is still unknown if this was for a gameplay feature or a new game mode altogether. Probably was in the works of a game mode, but they probably just repurposed it just for the trailer for Rook. Later on, they probably kept this in the back burner just for waiting for the right game in order to put this game mode, which was in Black Ops 2 with the churn mode. So those were the game modes out of the way. We were supposed to get 2 enemies in World at War. One was called the Crawler Zombie. The model remains in the file games, and also too, you can see a brief glimpse of it when you go in the teleporter from Derice. The Crawler Zombie is a precursor to the Nova 6 Zombie from Black Ops 1. This early iteration of the Crawler Zombie was planned to release in the map pack 4 with the theater map, which was back in the day Skinner to Tilton, as Skinner to Tilton was supposed to release for World at War, which was repurposed for Black Ops 1. So the model was changed altogether, as the Crawler Zombie just looks like a regular zombie with a regular face that's just on force. With the Nova 6 Zombie, I'm glad they changed it, which makes it more unique. Since we're on the topic of Crawler Zombies, we were supposed to get a specialized round, like the dog rounds for these type of zombies. Basically, just imagine the ones from Die Rise of those type of crawlers. I think it would probably be something similar to that for those specialized rounds, but end up getting cut. And same thing for Black Ops 1, that when you turn on the power, the crawler zombies start coming out of the roof. They basically join on the normal type of zombies. Another zombie, which was supposed to be intended for a boss zombie, was called the Engineer. All of it remains in the game files, and also too, you can see it in the Vanos video too. It's the one with the Collingwood video. But that is the model of the Engineer zombie for that map pack of what Vanos played. The Engineer Zombie was also repurposed in Dead Ops Arcade, and you can see the model right here too. But the Engineer Zombie was supposed to be intended for the Coast map, but we already know that Coast map ended up getting cut altogether. But for the framework and for the Coast map, all of that was reworked into Call of the Dead, and the Engineer Zombie was reworked into George Romero. Now on to Shinonuma. There was some stuff that were cut out from Shinonuma, like we were supposed to get a 5th perk machine. This perk machine is called the Ammo-Matic. It seems like they were almost done finishing this perk machine, as there's a texture sheet and all the 4 main characters will talk about it whenever they see it. And so I'm gonna play all their audio files too.
Max Ammo Machine. Ah, genius. An ammo machine! What a brilliant idea!
Ammo machine! What a wonderful idea!
Ah! This is a blessing from the Emperor!
For the Ammo-Matic, it's just basically a max ammo machine. You just pay for the perk and you're able to get all the ammo back from your weapons. I don't know how much the price would have cost, but I'm pretty sure it would have been expensive considering it's a max ammo machine. But some custom zombie maps use the Ammo-Matic machine. You can see the machine in some modded maps for World at War. And for Shinonuma, we were supposed to get 4 different perk machines. Well, they're not different, the textures of them are really different, as they represent more of the Swamp Theme level. I'll show you the texture sheets on the screen. I have no clue why they didn't want to add this, because they're almost done with it, but it would have been really cool because we just added more flair to the map. There's some mods that allow the texture sheet into Shinonuma, but you have to find them on your own. And the different textures also influence the future perk machine textures. Some maps have different textures for the perk machines. One that comes to my head is Mob of the Dead. There's cut voice lines talking about the random perk machines that you'll get each time when you open the main 4 doors in Shinonuma. And like with the other one, I'm gonna show them to you.
Oh, now that's freaking fair, ain't it? What's it going to be this time? It will become the machine it is supposed to become.
I wonder which one it will be this time.
Again, this was weirdly taken out for no reason, as the file's already there and they're already fully voice acted. They probably just said like, doesn't matter, we're already done with the map, it's not really needed. And there was a couple of traps that were cut out for Shinonuma. They all have voice lines to them. One was supposed to be a guillotine apparently that blocks off a certain part of the map, secluding the player to a limited area. They failed to get to that window of escaping that area. Arrow, which would have been a fire-based trap, it says on the wiki there's limited information on this. Me and pure speculation, it would probably have been something like an oil spill type of trap, where it lights up only that specific area and that's about it. Almost like the fire trap from Kino or Toten. I think it would have been something similar to that. Battery, which is an electric base trap, but like again with the barrel, not much is known about the information. But it says on the wiki that it was cut in favor of the zappers like the ones from Varrook. This electric base trap was totally different from the zappers, so we might not have no clue what it was for. Once again, on pure speculation, I think it would have been used for the large bodies of water around the map. That once you activate this trap, it probably would have shocked the water and killed a lot of zombies with it. It is unknown why they took it out, but I think to me most likely they probably took it out because a lot of players are dumb and are probably going to die a lot to this trap. I think that's one reason why they took it out. The last trap for Shinonuma was called the Chopper. It was a trap intended to cut zombies down. Pretty straightforward trap. Every main character has a voice line for all these traps. Well, I'm gonna play them all for you.
Bullshit! Come on! I'm gonna make a pile of maggot ash! Amp it up! Chop and fly, freak bags! Of course this is now in my way. I should probably get out of the way. Ah, good. I won't have to use my vodka. This will take care of them. All chopped up and everywhere to go. I was not fast enough. I need to get through this quickly. They will all burn. This will take care of them. They will be cut into 1,000 pieces.
I was not fast enough! I must move quickly, before it closes! They will all burn! Oh, this is going to be so fun! They will be cut into 1,000 pieces! Yay!
Lastly, there was a safe version for Dempsey.
Come on!
I guess it would have been probably used for the graphic content restriction, as it says in the wiki, or probably been used for something else entirely. And so those are all the traps for Shinonuma. There was one more trap that was cut out, and it was intended for the theater map, and we already know this, it's the auto turret. Supposed to come out with the theater map for DLC 4 for World at War, but ended up getting reworked to Kinder Tilton. So those are all the cut traps. For Derice, two things about this. They're gonna be really quick anyways. This is about the unused voice lines for Derice. I'm not gonna play the voice clips as they're just placeholder voice lines. So before they get the main actor, so they get reference of what they're gonna say for the character. And there's 78 unused voice lines from these 5 different actors. Again, these are just placeholders before the main actors came along. For the second part, for the Cutting Floor wiki, it talks about that there was cut areas in Derice. Cut areas might have been buyable areas that you could buy, but they were cut towards the last minute, or didn't have enough time to work on them, but they're still there as there's some remnants of these rooms in there. These are 2 pictures for Derice. Also too, I forgot to mention, there's also a hidden room in Baroque. You can only access it through console commands of no clipping. That's about it. And also for Shinonuma, there was unseen text that you can only see if you no clip. Pretty sure mostly everyone saw this, as back in the day this is when zombies were taking off in the lore. It's the hut, the one that says Tunguska on it. It's referencing the Tunguska event when the meteor hit Russia. It's also referenced the 115 meteor hitting Russia. Not for Ascension, but before the story went all convoluted and complicated. 3 things before I end off the World of War section. There's a script file intended for the Hellhounds, as apparently they would have been able to hop the walls, as it's an animation code. It was probably intended for 2 things. One, that probably the dogs were supposed to spawn at the same areas with the zombies, or have the dogs take the barriers as shortcuts in order to be able to kill us. But again, this was cut for unknown reasons. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. We were supposed to get kill streaks in the first Zombies mode too. It's only 1 kill streak, as basically World of War is just a reskin of Call of Duty 4. This one was called Mortar Rounds, as you were able to call mortars around the area, and it would probably kill a bunch of zombies too outside of the barriers. It would have cost 2,000 points in order to buy Mortar Rounds. It was completely cut altogether because it was extremely overpowered. The 2 had a large blast radius, so it probably would have killed the players too. So those are all the stuff for World of War. Now we're going to Black Ops 1. Now onto Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 was practically a finished product with zombies, as they got a little bit more increase in budget. But still, there was some cut maps for this game, but there was only 3. So we're gonna start with the first one. Since Black Ops 1 takes place in the Vietnam War, they were gonna do a Vietnam style type of map. I was only planning phase, but there's no concept for this type of map, but we can already guess that we're probably gonna use reuse assets from the campaign, but slightly make them different to make them new. Since, well, they already had the setting for Vietnam from the campaign, so they could just reuse that again. Of course, with different changes. Now, there's no concept map, or at least a pre-planned map, for the Vietnam map. But there is concept for the zombies, which details more interest what they were going to do with this map. So this map would have took place in North Vietnam, and also too, the map ID for this map is called Viet Cong. We were supposed to get 3 different types of zombies. One was called the smokescreen zombie, as the zombie was covered up and had boils of the Agent Orange nerve agent. The smoke that emits from the body was supposed to obscure the player's field of view and make the zombie stronger. Apparently for the game mechanic, they wanted to make these guys able to dodge their bullets, as well they stagger a lot, get them much harder to hit and allow their smoke to spread. If you go close to it, well, you're able to go blind and impair your vision. Love how in the concept art it gives us tips on how to take out this perceived zombie that was supposed to appear in the game. It's way better to take it from afar, not up close, but if you're gonna do up close, it says use a flamethrower. Which again, I said in my other video that they cut the flamethrower altogether. It was probably a good thing the zombie was removed, because I think a lot of players would be very annoyed by it. Third cut zombie, which was called the SWAT zombie. It was supposed to be a martial artist zombie. From the description of the concept art, it seems more of a mini boss to it. The zombie is able to dodge the bullets and even try to trick the player into leading the shot. Apparently when it hits you very fast. Apparently from the concept art, it was intended for the zombie to use its knees and elbows in order to hit you. I'm guessing this would be a hard-hitting zombie as it's a martial artist. On the bottom of the tips for the concept art, it says that it's the best way to take it out is with an explosive. It says here if you don't have an explosive or you're cornered, well, good luck. This mini-boss zombie seems a lot worse than the George Romero boss. Well, probably a good thing it wasn't implemented in Black Ops 1, as Black Ops 1 has a reputation with the weapons going a little bit worse after round 35. So I could imagine finding the zombie on higher rounds. It would be like hell. It would be really cool if we get to see the zombie in the future. It's really a cool idea for it, and would be really cool for a mini boss. And lastly, we were supposed to get the zombie oxen. This oxen would be affected by the Agent Orange type of nerve agent. Apparently in the concept art what they want intended for the gameplay, the Agent Orange increases the mutation of making them have high muscle definition. So in a way, they were going to make these guys very hard to hit, and very hard to kill. Probably for the Vietnam map, these guys were supposed to replace the Hellhound rounds. They were probably going to do Oxen rounds, but probably there might have been another mini boss too that joins the field. Because on the bottom, apparently they wanted to do different variants of it. One was just a regular oxen, one had a broken horn, one was dragging a demolished cart, and one was supposed to carry a zombie driver. Lastly, the last variant was supposed to have multiple oxen due to stampede. Again, this was probably most likely intended for a special round or probably a mini boss. These were all cut out because they were all intended for the Vietnam map. Now some of these were not reworked into the final map of Shangri-La, as they combined Vietnam and also the temple map into Shangri-La. Maybe one day in the future installment of zombies we get to see all these zombies. Pretty sure we've seen the zombie oxen before, it's just they probably changed it because in Dead Ops Arcade 2 they have the bull zombie, but I think that's something else different, so I might be wrong on that. Later on, we did get a Vietnam map, but that happened many years later with Cold War. There was another map called Temple of Doom, but this map was just an earlier version of Shangri-La. It seems like they went out for Temple of Doom for the first earlier stages, and apparently there was going to be a new Pack-a-Punch model for Pack-a-Punching weapons, as for the machine was going to be slightly different. But from the concept map, we can see that there was going to be a lot of traps and a lot of things to do around in this map. But again, this was the early version of Shangri-La, as they combined Viet Cong, the Vietnam map, and this map too to make Shangri-La. Since we got a Temple of Doom map, but in the style with Shangri-La, as that replaced that with that. And now for the infamous Paris map, to talk more details about that. As said before, Moon replaced Paris, as Paris was supposed to be released in the Resurrection map pack with map pack 4. It ended up getting reworked into Moon, and while some of the Moon elements are stuck inside too with the Paris elements too, as they reuse some of the things from that just to convert it to Moon. With the beginning part of Moon, No Man's Land. This was supposed to be a big deal for the Paris map as they wanted to do style of World War I. Instead with the teleporter 2 with the Moon, they were going to have a big teleporter inside the Eiffel Tower and you could teleport outside the map. Of course, get out of the No Man's area land. Well, these guys were infatuated with making a Paris map. They kept talking about it over and over again when working on the design for the 4th map pack. Also too along the way, since it started with World at War and all the way went to Black Ops 1. The Paris idea started to die down and well, they restructured everything and redid everything for the Moon map. Instead of Paris, we got the Moon map. In a certain way, we did get the Paris map, but it wasn't taking place in Paris. It was more taking place in northern France, which was Origins. At least we did get our infamous Paris map, but instead it's just Origins and it's just taking place in northern France. Still, it was a cool idea to include a Paris map, but I feel like in the future with future zombies, they might come back with the Paris map again in the future, like what they did with the Vietnam map when they came out for Cold War. Maybe in the future we might get a Paris map. If not, if that doesn't come to the future, well, we can just play modded maps. Now for Black Ops 1, compared to World at War, Black Ops 1 had a lot of cut weapons. Even one that was supposed to be intended for multiplayer, and a lot of weapons that were finished but never made into zombies. And even two, there's 3 cut wonder weapons. And I'll save the wonder weapons for the last part. So let's start with the first weapon, the Model 1887. So basically the weapon from Modern Warfare 2, you know, the lever action shotgun, well, that was supposed to be intended for the campaign. This gun was intended to be used for multiplayer, but then got a brief appearance in the Vorkuta mission, and that was it, as it seems to be cut in development is that you can't even use that at all. There's just a model, but that's about it. Like with World at War, it is safe to say that this weapon could have been probably used in zombies. But that weapon is the only weapon that never got to seem to be developed. There are 7 weapons that were intended for zombies, but these weapons were fully developed for multiplayer and campaign, was never implemented into zombies. For the first weapon, the AK-47. At first, I was kind of surprised that they didn't include this weapon, but then again, it's probably a Mandela effect, probably thinking of the AK-74U, which is one of the weapons you could buy on the wall, and it's a pretty decent wall buy. I think I got confused, but basically this was a variant of the AK-47. And another thing where I got confused is that the AK-47, well, you can get it in Mob of the Dead. That's only for BL2, so I was kind of surprised to see the AK-47 on the cut weapons list, as this weapon was half finished. There's a Pack-a-Punch variant which is called the Red Mist, and apparently one of the attachments was a flamethrower. If you haven't played BL1, there's some weapons that have attachments like the shotgun attachment. It seems the AK-47 would have joined in that family too. Was half finished and was weirdly cut out for no reason. The other gun, the KS-23, supposed to be in zombies, but same thing with the AK-47 was half finished. Same with the Kit Press, but with this one there was a Pack-a-Punch variant and you could dual wield it, and even has textures for it. I guess the dual wielding would have been a Pack-a-Punch variant of it, but it would have been really cool. The other versions like the Scorpion has a Pack-a-Punch version of it, the Stoner 63 has another Pack-a-Punch version of it, and the Wall 2000, there's another Pack-a-Punch version for that. But all these were weirdly cut out for no reason. They had full models for multiplayer and campaign, but never got intended to be used in zombies. But one of the last weapons, which is surprising that got cut, since well basically this is an upgrade version of World at War, and some of the World at War weapons pass over with some little changes of it. Also too with the Resurrection DLC pack that we get every World at War map. We were supposed to get the flamethrower for Keynote, Toten, and 5. As basically this is the same version used in World at War. There wasn't that much things they could do, they could just transfer it and that was it. There's even some cut quotes from the characters from 5 and Keynote Toten, which means they were almost done transferring it but just scrapped it altogether for no reason. Flamethrower will never make an appearance again until Black Ops 4 when you can use it as a specialist weapon. Ever since that, it has never came back. Those were all the normal weapons that were cut. Now for the wonder weapons. First cut wonder weapon was called the Sabertooth. And apparently it works like a chainsaw. The way how it looks and the way it looks like how it's going to do damage and even to how the animation of it's being hold. But they did have animation but have the model but never fully completed this wonder weapon. Apparently this wonder weapon would have been unique because it would use gas for ammo. As for the magazine size, it would have been 999. And apparently if you pack up punch it would have been nearly 1 million. This would have made it easily the largest ammo capacity for a gun in the zombie series. Apparently there was another variant that was planned called the Sabertooth 360, which would have been a smaller version of the Sabertooth. It seems like this weapon was intended for Keynote or Toten because it was cut very early on. Just like with World at War, that means they were playing on melee weapons very early on too. For some reason this weapon was really cut out for no reason. It seems like they were almost done, they just needed a texture in the model and that was it. They probably took it out for balancing issues or something else altogether. Maybe one day we'll get this cut wonder weapon in the future. Now on to the Shrink Ray. We did get the Shrink Ray, which is the one for Shangri-La. There were so much iterations of the Shrink Ray before it got the finalized product. I'm going to show you the cut concept art for the Shrink Ray. Some of them are really interesting and maybe one day, like with the Sabertooth, we'll see another iteration of a wonder weapon and probably rework into one of these concept arts. Apparently for all these weapons, apparently they're rechargeable. So if you melee the zombies, you will get your ammo back. And for some of these weapons, they have bayonets to the end of them. They're very makeshift bayonets, as some use bones and some use a different knife altogether. The iteration looks like to be a flare gun. The end of it of an ivory bayonet to attach to it. And with this one, like with the same with all of them, you can replenish your ammo if you stab zombies. There's another one that looks like to be a makeshift RPG, and at the end of it, it has a wheel attached to it. Apparently when you fire it, it would rotate and it would glow along the way. There will be several lights on it indicating that if it was fully charged. Apparently for the Shrink Ray, I think it would have been seen like as a beam-like weapon for the RPG. As for opposed to the pistol, it would probably have been something similar to the ray gun. Third iteration is the China Lake. With the RPG, it's very makeshift and all put together really badly. Then with the RPG, apparently the gun would light up indicating the charge and the amount of ammunition it has. And apparently for the bayonet, attached to it is a golden statue. But I think for this iteration of the China Lake for the wonder weapon of the Shrink Ray, I think it would have taken an explosive one similar to the one in Call of the Dead with the sniper rifle. Next iteration, it looks similar to the one seen in Chaos Storyline with that wonder weapon with the last map. I forgot what the wonder weapon was, but this looks similar to it. What I'm talking about is the weapon type. As for this iteration, apparently it would just hook onto your arm. It's just straight up an artifact and you just use it as a weapon, as it coils around your hand. Because apparently for this iteration, it was a hold and charge gun. The longer you held the gun, the more damage it did. And apparently too, once you held the charge, gems will light up along the tail, and it will light up how much charge it had to hold. Next one, which seems to be replicating the flare gun, will be a little bit different from the first one. It would have been probably similar to a ray gun or a pistol type like gun. Apparently when the gun was depleted of its charge, you had to melee zombies in order to recharge it. And the more zombies you killed when meleeing them, the greater the charges and the more damage it does. It seems like this gun would have been an infinite ammo gun. And to the bayonet, apparently it's a sacrificial blade. That was the concept for the Shrink Ray from page 1. There's another one. For this weapon on the page, it describes it as a bulldog-like weapon, which apparently combines the sacrificial wheel with another ancient sculpture. Apparently it seems to be like a beam-like weapon as it spins around when it fires. Another one with a big statue sticking out of the head, and you had to grip it like a chainsaw or like a minigun. Apparently for this iteration, it would have been a melee type. When you shoot it, the statue brings out a horn and hits zombies with it. You can see why they scrapped this one altogether because it's more of a melee thing and, well, seems like the melee weapon trend started to die down. Next one, which used the same model of the flare gun of which one the first one I showed you. The gun was almost close to the Winter's Howl and the ray gun, so it probably would have been something similar to those two fire types. Apparently in the middle there would have been a statue in it, and that the statue was the main source of its ammo as it would charge up and spin around. For this weapon, apparently it would charge slowly on its own, almost basically an infinite ammo type gun. The thing is, we did see a final product of this gun, just not the whole thing, just the statue, as the statue is similar to the one seen on the final product of the Shrink Ray, or at least there's one thing that survived from the concept art. Another variant of the pistol, but instead uses a circular stone artifact in the middle. It seems to be similar design of the ray gun and also to the Winter's Howl. The stone artifact is what charges the weapon. Apparently for this weapon, it only glows one color. There's another one that looks like it would be a large piece of equipment. The description says that it uses a large hunk of masonry, and that it is fitted with capacitors to draw out the energy from the masonry. It basically powers up the weapon. Just like with the other chainsaw variant, it looks like to be a two-handed weapon too. I'm not sure what weapon type would this have been. To me, it almost kind of looks like similar to a shotgun, or probably something else entirely. Or even two, might even look like a flamethrower. For the last iteration, which they call it the Villager Bell, as basically it's a subsection as another cut weapon is similar called to this. For this shrink ray, apparently the Village Bell would help power the device. The sound waves were intended to be used as the weapon. Basically a pulse type weapon. When it's reloaded, apparently the bell will make a sound too, which is kind of funny that they included it, but it would have been really cool if they implement it. Those are all the shrink ray concepts. All of them are really similar that apparently you could recharge them or they had a recharging effect to all of them. But the final product we got that didn't have it at all, as you have to wait for max ammo for it to be fully recharged. There's still one more last wonder weapon. They talk about the Village Bell, which is basically a subsection weapon of the Shrink Ray. Before we got the final product of the Shrink Ray, apparently they were going to do it with the Village Bell, as there's more work on it than the other concept arts. For this concept art, it's a revision of the original concept. I'll show it on the screen. It's just basically the same one as the original concept, that it might be a pulse-like type weapon. Apparently there was an unused model of the Winter's Howl. There's no animations of it, but it appears to be almost like a rifle or something similar to a flamethrower for the Winter's Howl. Kinda surprised that they haven't reused this model for any future Wonder Weapons, but probably get to see it one day. Those are all the Wonder Weapons for Black Ops 1. Other weapons too that I didn't mention because I found on our website called the Coding Floor Wiki, and they have more weapons here, but it's only a little bit of it. For one of the weapons we were supposed to get the Enfield for zombies, but there's a Pack-a-Punch variant of it, and there's models of it too. You're supposed to get the Scorpion, variant of the G11 but it has no scope, the Uzi, Mac 11, apparently a variant of the crossbow but not exploding, Thundergun, as apparently it's supposed to appear on 5 but we got it for Ascension and Kino der Tilden. For that one there's cut quotes from the presidents and the characters in 5 that talk about the gun. The original Wonder Waffle that was supposed to appear in Kino der Tilden and 5 but got cut out for some reason, even the whole game altogether, because apparently you can only get it from Call of the Dead once you do the Easter egg. But that one takes more of an appearance of a Death Machine power-up, as you have it for a very limited time. Apparently they wanted this to be a staple weapon in Black Ops 1, but never did so. It's weird because it only works for the old World at War maps when you buy the Resurrection DLC. But with the other maps, they were supposed to be put in there together, but didn't get the chance to work on it or probably just scrapped it all together, because the whole model is really done and everything as just a copy of from World at War. And apparently there's some cut quotes from all the characters from 5 and Kino der Tilden talking about the Wonder Waffle. And lastly, we were supposed to get the Grim Reaper for zombies. You know the kill streak that appears in multiplayer? We were supposed to get that in zombies, but was scrapped altogether, probably due to balancing issues, but then again probably for a different reason too. Apparently even too, this has a Pack-a-Punch version of it too. Maybe this weapon would have been the meta in Black Ops 1 and really broken, but it doesn't make any sense why they cut it. It would have been really cool if they added it, but still was cut for no reason. And those are all the cut weapons for Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 had some cut perks that were supposed to be intended for the game. There were 6 cut perks. And also too, there was a cut mechanic that you were supposed to be able to upgrade the perks for Quick Revive, Juggernaut, and Speed Cola. First, let's talk about the cut perks. One cut perk was called Boom Juice. It would have been something similar to PhD Flopper. Basically, Boom Juice got reworked into PhD Flopper, as it's very similar to it, as there's quotes to it saying that the perk could make the player make an explosion. Probably just would have used the PhD Flopper when you Biley Flop and basically cause a small explosion, and that was probably it. And this perk was intended for Ascension. There's another perk called BPT Boom. It would have been something similar to Boom Juice, and again, this was cut from Ascension. And like with Boom Juice, there is some cut quotes to this perk. Another perk called Pronade. Apparently this would have affected the player's prone. It says in the wiki that this perk would have affected the player's jump and prone in some sort of way. It's still a little bit confusing about this perk, as we're only going based off the cut quotes. Probably this would have been a useless perk, as it just basically help you go prone faster or even jump faster, or make you able to double jump. But again, this perk was intended for Ascension but was cut altogether. And lastly, for the perks for Ascension, there was a perk called Turf Brew. It is unknown what this perk would have done. We're only going based off the quotes, and it seems like it would probably have been something similar to Juggernaut, to me in my opinion. The characters have something to say that affects their health. But again, this was planned for Ascension but was cut altogether. And this is the last of the sound files for all the cut perks. There's still 2 more. Since I talk about all the cut perks for those 4 quotes, I'm going to play all the cut quotes.
Boom Juice! Hell yeah, that drink is made just for me! This has texture like oil painting.
Like a kamikaze on a hot day. The drink that makes you go boom! Ha ha!
DTP Boom! Yeah! This drink is pretty good, but it's so hard to swallow.
Ah, now this is satisfying. I go boom now!
Ah, yeah, that's good stuff. Those monkeys are stealing my jumping juice. Hey, that's a little bit like beer. No, the monkeys are stealing my stuff. I think this was rotten. They are taking the boom brew.
With this, I can go down even quicker. 9! The dirty, hairy little men things are taking my things.
Tough brew. That's what I'm talking about. This drink goes down like glue. A drink for a true warrior.
Oh, yeah. Maybe this will toughen me up.
So those were all the cut quotes. Now we're going to talk about the 2 other extra perks. One was called Candelier, and this perk would have been probably something similar to the Bandolier perk from Call of Duty 4 and World at War. There's only a perk icon and a minimap icon that exists, but I'm going to show you the perk icon. And also 2 string of text too. It's unknown why this perk was cut. The last perk that was cut from Black Ops 1 was called Damage Aid, and the icon for it appears to be similar to Double Tap, but it differs. On the wiki it says that it would probably have been something similar to Stopping Power from multiplayer. So those are all the cut perks. There was something else that was supposed to be added for the perks for Quick Revive Juggernaut and Speed Cola as upgraded perks. The only thing that exists for them is the HUD icons. For this, it probably could have doubled the effects or done something else, adding an extra perk to them. But we may never know, as well they cut it out. For World at War, I did say that they're going to implement kill streaks to it, as they were going to add mortar rounds to it. But for Black Ops 1, they were going to do the same thing to it, but they were going to add several kill streaks to zombies. Some of them don't have working scripts, but they were intended to be bought through the walls. Kill streaks are the RCXD, which will be called the RC Bomb for zombies. The radar, it is unknown what this is used for. Dogs, as you were able to spawn attack dogs in order to hunt down the zombies. Chopper Gunner, Napalm Airstrike, and another Airstrike, which is just the normal one. This shows how much that they've been wanting to add kill streaks for the game for a very long time. Up until Cold War when we finally got the kill streaks. It is weird that what maps were going to be intended to this, as some of the maps were really closed off and small for Black Ops 1. There are some big open areas, but probably that's why they probably moved the kill streaks, as they probably had to redesign every map. They ended up just taking it out. There's a little extra note on the kill streak. You were supposed to get rewards with the kill streaks after every versus mode. As for Black Ops 1, there was an intended supposedly another game mode for it, and from the wiki it appears to be something similar to Grief. This was cut out and probably reworked into the Grief mode we have in Black Ops 2. From the wiki, apparently it says that there were supposed to be Hellhounds in the 5 map, but they were cut out for no reason, but the sound files are still there. Since on the topic of 5, apparently there were some unused rooms on the map. These rooms were probably viable rooms, but they ended up getting cut out at the last minute. Some of them still have models around and decorations around those rooms too. That probably had to do since 5 was a direct reuse asset from the campaign when the Pentagon level, as they're just basically the same with just some minor differences around. And one more thing before I end off Black Ops 1. I did a video talking about the censorship in Call of Duty Zombies. I said that it was up until Black Ops 3 where they fully took out the name of the original name out of Zombies. Check out that video too after when you're done with this one. But I did say that it was up until that game that they fully removed it, but I was wrong, as there was a cutscene for Black Ops 1 for the Nocturne Tilton. Because when it was released for Resurrection, they changed the outro and removed the name altogether. It was only keeping the word of zombies. So it seems that they were planning on removing this name up until Black Ops 1. As well, it was going outside of the portion of the German experiments. That's when it's changed it. But it was probably just a placeholder, as the wiki says, that for some of the zombie maps that don't have a loading screen. But anyways, those are all the cut content for Black Ops 1. Now on to Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2. But before I talk about Transit, because that one was a big, huge step that got a lot of stuff scrapped, there's other maps that got scrapped too along the way. With the other map pack with Black Ops 1 with Resurrection, in which we got all the World of War maps remastered and put into Black Ops 1, well, they were going to do the same thing with Black Ops 2, but also include Black Ops 1 maps. So basically, this was Zombie Chronicles before Zombie Chronicles came to Black Ops 3. This is precursor to Zombie Chronicles was supposed to release after Origins in the 5th DLC pack. Sucks for it because they planned it out from the beginning and they were almost done with it. It was cancelled for unknown reasons. Probably has to do with the new game, Call of Duty Ghosts coming out, and then probably something similar to World at War, where it's just that it was just too late into game cycle as the game was about to end since Call of Duty Ghosts was about to come out, so they never did it. But at least we got Zombie Chronicles for Black Ops 3, and hopefully we're gonna get Zombie Chronicles 2 for Black Ops 6, as there's a rumor going around that might happen. That's a big might. So we're gonna be talking about Transit, as that's the most biggest cut map for Black Ops 2. Well, most of half of the area was cut off from this map too, as one of the most ambitious maps ever to be in Call of Duty Zombies. And this is Transit. Nowadays, Transit has a love and hate relationship in the Zombies community, as many people don't like it and many people like it. To me, I'm indifferent, it's okay and it's bad at the same time. Certain aspects in the map that are good and there's certain aspects that make it bad. But the original Transit map went through many reworks. In a sense, the map was going to be more open world-esque. It had to cut down on the majority of the things. This was due to the technology being limited at that time. There would be a lot of performance and memory issues working on the map, and also too, since Call of Duty is going to be a universal game, you need to have it to work on Xbox, PlayStation, and well, I don't know, but even on the Wii U too. Of course, PC. They had to sacrifice a lot of things with transit, because apparently the original version had a decrease of fog and smoke effects, as you know, compared to today where it's practically covering the whole map, and also too, it had no lava in the original version. The one we got is that it's a whole sea of lava almost looking like hell. Remember when they said it was almost like an open world-esque? As the play area was supposed to be much larger than anticipated. I know the one we got is kind of large, but it would be much larger than that. Even too, if you look at the board, apparently this was supposed to be the original map idea of where you can open up another part of the map with a bus. When you unlock this area, it's supposed to be much larger than the original area of where the first bus depot is, and where town and power station are. But this was severely cut, and we get the main map, which is supposed to be the first area. But with this content, we could at least see some of them in the pre-alpha footage, behind the scenes when they were first working on the map with the first idea of it. And also too, another cut thing is that before the final game was released, there were supposed to be more subsections with what you selected for the final game. As remember, there's Nocturne Tilden, the cornfields, the power station, and the tunnel. Access them through the menu like with the other one of how you play Grief mode, but they end up taking it out. With my opinion, if Transit was made like the originally was intended to, I think it would have been one of the best maps. But we may never know because we never get to see the original map ideas implemented. Maybe these ideas will be reused in the future, probably when there's probably a Transit remake or probably a Transit sequel. So technology is much better than it was back in 2012, and it's possible many hardware can handle the new map of the original intentions of Transit. That's going to be a big maybe if they're going to remake Transit, because you know it has a love and hate relationship and not many people like it, so they might not chance it again, but just maybe. Black Ops 2 had a lot of cut game modes for the specific best and worst map ever, Transit. All these game modes were cut due to memory limitations. Some of these game modes were supposed to be playable on the few sections with a larger map on Transit before the whole thing got axed and small down to size. Apparently there were some areas that had additional props and glowing signs and specific barriers. But again, due to hardware limitations, they were all cut down. The game mode was called Cleanse. The game mode was supposed to be intended for it to outlast the other players on your team. Dead players will become zombies and the game ends with only one player is left standing. So technically a free-for-all. Another game mode called Containment. Stay alive for as long as you can and prevent zombies from escaping. The game ends when one team survives, and it was planned to be played on the Nocturne Tilden map on the subsection of Transit. Another game mode called Deadpool. Apparently for this mode, you were supposed to reach the end before your teammates. Apparently there was a cut weapon or cut equipment called Meat that was supposed to be used in this mode. So on the topic of meat, there was a game mode called Meat. You grab the meat and you throw it, and zombies will only attack you if your team side has that meat. So in a sense, hot potato. If we're talking about the meat game mode, it was supposed to be part of the equipment. Apparently it's supposed to be something similar to a monkey bomb, as it will attract the zombies. But that's about it. The next game mode called No Man's Land. Survive endless wave of multiple enemy types, and the game ends when all players dies. Another game mode called Pitted. Survive endless wave of multiple enemy types, game ends when one team survives. Another game mode called Race. Kill the necessary amount of zombies to open the door and reach the end. First team to survive or reach the end wins. And apparently the meat equipment was supposed to be part in this mode. Lastly, the last game mode called Returned. Nothing known about this game mode, but it probably have to do something with churn or something else entirely, I'm not really sure. But those are all the cut game modes for Transit. There's nothing else after that. Actually, I'm gonna briefly talk about the pre-alpha footage for Zombies, as there's only a screenshot of it on the wiki. But I did hear somewhere else that you could find videos of it. All of them have been weirdly taken down. So maybe one day we'll get to see the pre-release footage, probably will get released online, or probably someone will upload a video on it. There isn't any cut wonder weapons for Black Ops 2. So basically, same thing with World at War, we're just going to read off the ones that were supposed to be intended for multiplayer and campaign. Well, you know too that most of the weapons from multiplayer gets transferred over to zombies. So let's get started. We were supposed to get the weapon, the XM25. The one from Modern Warfare 3 was supposed to be transferred over to Black Ops 2, and for zombies. Because apparently it has a string of text that you could buy the weapon off the wall. And even 2 has a created class icon for multiplayer. But the thing is, this weapon was cut early on. And it's safe to say that it probably would have used the same animations from Modern Warfare 3. Also too, the same stats from that too. We were supposed to get the Commando 2, the same one from Black Ops 1. It can be seen in behind the scenes video, but probably this is just a placeholder when they were testing out the game. Still some leftover code in the game, but it doesn't even appear in the final product. Which is weird because there's a ton of Black Ops 1 weapons that reappear in Black Ops 2. But the Commando was the most popular one from Black Ops 1, but never got the attention in Black Ops 2, which is really weird. Apparently we were supposed to get something that's titled called the old P90, but that would probably the same weapons from Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2. but in the wiki it says there's only a string of texts that are found in the files. Probably a different version of the PDW or something else entirely. Apparently we're supposed to get the Thunder Gun. That was supposed to replace the Jet Gun, but they ended up keeping the Jet Gun for transit. Apparently they were still testing with the Thunder Gun because you could buy it off the wall. There's a string of code that can be found in the files. Probably something similar with the Wonder Waffle. They wanted to keep Thunder Gun in the Black Ops 2 maps, but end up scrapping it and just doing Wonder Weapons for every new map. Like with the Jet Gun with transit. You know the Wonder Weapon I talked about back in Black Ops 1, the chainsaw one called the Sabertooth? It was apparently supposed to appear in Black Ops 2. It seems like this gun survived from Black Ops 1 and from Black Ops 2, which is really interesting, and I have no clue why they didn't bring up Black Ops 3 or any other future zombie titles. We're supposed to get the Scorpion, the same one from Black Ops 1, into Black Ops 2. We're supposed to get the RPK, which would have been something similar to the old Black Ops 1 weapons, it would just been a ripped file from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 2. Some minor details changed, because it got a little different from Black Ops 1 from Black Ops 2, by a little. The RPK was replaced by the RPD. It is unknown if they actually replaced it, but it just might be a coincidence that they actually replaced it altogether with the RPD. Supposedly the Grim Reaper from Black Ops 1, you know, the 4-quad missile launcher, was supposed to appear in Black Ops 2, in multiplayer and also 2 in zombies. I guess it would have the same stats like from the cut project from Black Ops 1. Remember with that one was almost halfly developed but ended up getting cut altogether. They were probably going to reintroduce it into zombies, but just end up scrapping it. We're supposed to get the Stoner 63 LMG, the same thing from Black Ops 1. Probably something similar to Grim Reaper. They were probably going to implement it into Black Ops 2, while it got cut for Black Ops 1. Same thing with the Caparus, same thing with Black Ops 1. They were supposed to have a dual-wield version in Black Ops 2. Same goes with the Mac 11, the AUG, the G11, the MPL, the PM63, the Enfield, the Stakeout, the WA 2000. Same with all the weapons, they have a string of code that remains in the files. There's a pattern if you don't know this, because in my other video when I talk about the cut maps, remember there was supposed to be a Zombie Chronicles version for Black Ops 2? Which they would remastered all the Black Ops 1 maps and including the World of War maps and put them in Black Ops 2. It's like what they did with the Resurrection DLC for Black Ops 1 where they transferred the World of War maps to Black Ops 1. For the Resurrection DLC, remember the wall buys? They still have the World of War weapons. So the only ways you could get the World of War weapons if you buy them off the wall. The mystery box just uses the collection of weapons from Black Ops 1. And it seems like they were going to do the same thing with Black Ops 2. They're going to have the Black Ops 1 weapons as just wall buys, and have the Black Ops 2 weapons just in the mystery box rotation. Or would have probably done the mixture of both, like in Black Ops 2 where you could get the Black Ops 1 weapons and the Black Ops 2 weapons in the same deal. And well, with that DLC for the Zombie Chronicles version for Black Ops 2, that ended up getting scrapped altogether. Same thing with the Black Ops 1 weapons. Some of them were going to be implemented after the cut DLC or just got cut early in development. Those are all the old weapons that were supposed to be implemented in Black Ops 2. Let's talk about some of the futuristic weapons that were supposed to be implemented into Black Ops 2. Supposed to be a cut rifle called the RX-4 Storm. There's a menu icon and a HUD icon that remains in the game files. Never got to reach model development or even animations altogether, so probably this weapon was cut early in development. The rocket launcher called the Sterla 3, which you could find in the campaign but was intended to be used in multiplayer. And safe to say, well, I shouldn't talk about this weapon because I don't think it was supposed to be used in zombies, because the rocket launcher is an anti-aircraft rocket launcher. It'd be kinda useless in zombies unless they change the rocket launcher to a different value. There's a cut sniper rifle called the DTS-RS. Apparently had two menu icons. Same with the RX-4 Storm, didn't have its model yet. Probably it was replaced by the DSR-50. Another assault rifle that was cut called the M4. You see the M4 in promotional art, but it was nowhere to be found in the actual game. With the other ones, it had an early menu icon but was scrapped later onto development, saying that it didn't have any model or anything else too. And in the wiki says it was most likely being replaced by the M27. There's a scrap shotgun called the W2000, and apparently this was a unique shotgun that only fired grenades. It was scrapped very early on in development, but can still be seen in the alpha footage of Black Ops 2. No clue how this weapon would work in zombies, but probably would have been another worse gun like the War Machine. The scrap minigun called the M61 Vulcan, but then again, it's just a reused model from the Death Machine from Black Ops 1. These two weapons overlap each other as they're called the same thing. One is called the Type 95, which was a scrapped heavy machine gun, uses the same model from the HK-21 machine gun from Black Ops 1. And the other one, which has a similar name, instead it has a dash, which is called the Type-95, which seemed to be an early version of the Type 25. And this version was seen in the E3 demo. Scrap handgun, which was the early version of the TAC-45, which was called the FMP-45, can be seen in the early alpha footage of Black Ops 2. TAR-21, which was an early version of the MTR, can be seen in the E3 demo. Gun called the Taz Sarge, which was an early version of the SMR, seen in alpha footage. Another weapon called the base weapon, but it's just basically the M4A1 gun model from Modern Warfare 3. There's a cut early version of the modern submachine gun carbine, the MSMC. The early version was called the Mini in SAS. Again, can be seen in the alpha footage. There's an early version of the S12 which was called the Sega 12, and like with the others, I'm gonna keep saying it, it was seen in the alpha footage. The last weapon to be cut from Black Ops 2 was called the Stakeout, the shotgun from Black Ops 1. It was a placeholder model for the Remington. Like with the others, it was seen in the alpha footage. There's one more weapon from the Call of Duty wiki from the cut content portion. Most of the weapons that were seen in the cut content portion for Black Ops 2 was also on the cutting room floor wiki. But the last weapon was a sniper rifle called the Lynx. This one was a semi-auto, and well, again, was cut in early development, and for no reason too. Like I said earlier with the other weapons, they were probably going to be implemented into zombies. But there are some weapons that were intended for zombies. One of the weapons, again from Black Ops 1, was the Dragunov. Well, good thing they didn't add this because the Dragunov sucks ass in Black Ops 1. Probably would have done the same thing in Black Ops 2. The Dragunov still has the text of code inside the game files. The AK-47 makes a reappearance because apparently it was supposed to appear in all the other maps, but only appears in Mob of the Dead. This next weapon is kinda weird because the M16, but the upgraded version of it where you get the attachment with the shotgun on the end. It was previously a wall buy, but they cut it out and they just put it next to the Pack-a-Punch variant. No clue why they included this weapon in the cutting floor room wiki, because apparently M1911 was cut as apparently you could buy it off the wall. But they're saying that it was used for testing purposes, so it's just safe to say they used it for that. And we were supposed to get the spaz for zombies, as it appears in campaign but cannot be found in zombies. Again, as the text says in the wiki, there was no clear reason why it was not included in zombies. For these two new things, I'm not sure to include them because they're more of equipment more than less than weapons, but they can still classified as weapons under the wiki. I'm just gonna put them. One was the Bouncing Betty, and the other one was an interesting thing that was cut altogether, which was the Severed Head, as the Severed Head uses the model of Richthofen. As the Severed Head is just basically Richthofen. Well, we can classify as a weapon, but it's more of a power-up, as it was only exclusive for Grief. It works similar to zombie flesh that you could throw it at any player and then zombies would be heavily attached to them. You can find some footage of how it works on YouTube. So with the Severed Head out of the way, we finally conclude Black Ops 2 as it has the most cut weapons out of all the Call of Duty series for zombies. Also too, I did include some of the weapons that were intended for campaign and multiplayer, but also too, probably going to be implemented into zombies whenever they got their finished design if they worked on it more. It's safe to say that most of the weapons were placeholders for the early parts of the game. Well, you know, this was the first time when Call of Duty was going futuristic. Even though Black Ops 2 is more near the future, and as of now it's more more modern, seeing how some of the things seem similar to this day. This is a shameless plug because I did a video on Black Ops 2 campaign, and you could check it out when you finish with this video. But it would make sense that why there was a lot of cut weapons for Black Ops 2. This was their first time doing this, and well, they didn't want to screw it up. It is weird that they didn't include some of the most of the Black Ops 1 weapons. We did get some of the Black Ops 1 weapons in zombies, but not all of them. It would have been nice to just include them too. There are some unused graphics for the game. Well, they're created class icons. There's two that were specific for zombies. One was the jet gun, which shows the created class icon, and the other one was the ray gun. But all these were later used for the Call of Duty Elite app. It's still weird for Black Ops 2 to have these created class icons for these two wonder weapons, as they did nothing else with it. For Black Ops 2, there was another thing that was cut out or not even intended for the game, as there's a lot of unused text, and some of these were ported over from the older COD games, including some from the first one. Most of these were from the Treyarch games from World at War and Black Ops 1. I'm going to show you some of the string of the text because some of them are weird. Some of them have the description of the cut game modes, and some of them have even the cut description what seems like to be for a tutorial level, or even a tutorial mode of how to play zombies. Probably I'm reading into them too much, as probably some of these were supposed to appear in the loading screen as the tooltips of what to do and for the tips of how to help you out. As some of these were supposed to appear in Black Ops 1 at World at War, but were seen in Black Ops 2 as unused text. Some of them are weird text, like one of the texts says Manhattan down. I have no clue what that can be used for. Probably, I'm gonna read into it too much, probably a reference to the Kaboom, as the reference to the Manhattan Project, as the Kaboom model looks like the one is the Fat Man nuke that was dropped on Japan. It's probably a reference to that, or something else entirely. But there's still another text from Black Ops 1 that was unused. It was called Cosmo Apocalypse. I guess this is a reference to the moon map with the Cosmonauts zombie, but I don't know. First I thought I had to do the reference with the Cosmic Silverback from Dead Ops Arcade, but I think that's probably the one from Moon with the astronauts. But probably I'm reading it too much, as the wiki says that they're just placeholders. But they probably could have been used for something else too, but before they cut them all out. But Black Ops 2 is finished, and now to the first non-Treyarch Zombies game, Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare. There are some cut weapons and one special cut weapon for zombies for Advanced Warfare. For the other ones, we're going to talk about the campaign and multiplayer cut weapons first, as again, they were probably going to be implemented to zombies later on in development, but never got the chance to. First cut weapon was the assault rifle, the M160, as this one was nearly completed, but was cut altogether for no reason. and you can still find the weapon in the achievement art, the 360. Also can be seen in pre-release footage. Next weapon, the RPG-7. The same RPG from Modern Warfare 3, but which was weird of why it was cut altogether. I cut it out because it didn't fit with the futuristic setting, but which is weird because I think the RPG-7 would have made sense in the futuristic setting as it's a low-cost weapon. It will be some certain that some countries will use it and some insurgency groups will still use this weapon, as they're basically low cost from the old era of weaponry. It was weird that they didn't include this at all, but it may have been just a placeholder. There's another rocket launcher, the same one from Black Ops 2, the small. Just basically the same thing from Black Ops 2, but it's just an updated model of it. And lastly, the Javelin. It's the same one from Modern Warfare, and it was cut altogether, but still can be found in the game files and the memory of the campaign. There's 2 more extra weapons that were cut, but these 2 were weird. One was called a multi-barrel shotgun, just called that, no special name for it as it's just a semi-auto shotgun. Well, I think it's just a weapon placeholder name. The other weapon is the bolt-action pistol. The description of it found in the files uses the same one from the bolt-action pistol in the actual game, RW1. Maybe it was just a placeholder with the other shotgun, maybe it was an really early in development but got scrapped altogether. Now with the bolt-action pistol, probably that was a different version of the RW1, but then switched to the other one. It's weird they named it super generic, so that means it was really early on its development. Lastly, for one of the weapons, the Rhino, semi-auto revolver. If you ever played Battlefield 4, well, it's the same weapon as that. Apparently it has a HUD icon, but that's about it. It has multiple attachments to it. It was scrapped for no reason. Now to the cut zombie weapon. As apparently in the zombies mode, we were supposed to get a sword. As it's titled, called the Atlas Sword. The Atlas Sword would have been probably something similar to the World of War cut weapon with the katana. The Atlas Sword is just a melee weapon. Probably would have been something similar to the Bowie knife, or you could get out of the 3D printer. It does look like you could two-hand it or one-hand it, but I'm not sure as there's not only just the icon of it. I wish they would implement this weapon into Advanced Warfare Zombies. I think it would have made it more unique, as Exo Zombies is kind of forgettable. Well, basically, I'm going to do a future video on Exo Zombies because in my opinion, I think it's one of the most forgettable zombies experiences in the Call of Duty franchise. Watch out for that video when it comes out. Atlas Sword is just too cool to be cut altogether. It is kind of funny that they've been trying to implement melee weapons into the zombie series, but just end up being scrapped altogether, which doesn't make any sense because melee weapons completely fit into zombies. Why were these melee weapons cut? Well, we will never have a reason why. So those are all the cut weapons for Advanced Warfare and Exo Zombies. So back to Treyarch with Black Ops 3. Now we're on Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 is going to be the shortest section in this video because there's only 2 confirmed cut maps for this game. And it has to do with Zombie Chronicles. Since Zombie Chronicles was supposed to be for Black Ops 2, we worked it to Black Ops 3, but they wanted to include some maps from Black Ops 2 into Black Ops 3, but they couldn't. And these 2 maps are, well, Mob of the Dead was supposed to be in Zombie Chronicles but never got a chance to. They did work on it, but they ended up scrapping it because they were going to work on Black Ops 4 or Blood of the Dead. And the other map was Transit, and just like with Mob of the Dead, they also work on it but end up scrapping it. Apparently they were going to do a Transit remake and it was planned for development but never got to see, and we still don't know if they're still working on the Transit remake, even if it exists at all. And for both of these maps, we were supposed to receive a remaster and a remake basically in Zombie Chronicles fashion. It never gonna happen, so, well, Zombie Chronicles is the way how we got it with Black Ops 1 and World at War maps. Also to the Origin map. Now those are only the 2 confirmed maps that were cut for Black Ops 3. Ending with Black Ops 2, there is no cut wonder weapons, but there is an assortment of cut weapons. The cut rocket launcher cut the Chaser. It was a lock-on launcher, with no clue if it was an anti-air launcher or that you could lock it onto people, but it was cut in early in development, and it has a model too. Another rocket launcher called the EMP launcher, but it is unknown what it was used for, if it was a regular launcher or a specialist weapon. The sound files still remain in the game, but like with the other ones, probably cut in early development. The rocket launcher was the rocket launcher from Black Ops 2, the small was cut from Black Ops 3. The Sniper rifle was scrapped, but it had a really cool idea. It was a full auto assault rifle that had a hybrid mechanic. It was swapped from an assault rifle to a submachine gun. I think there's a gun that does it in Infinite Warfare, but I'm not sure yet because I have not played the game at all. Hybrid mechanic sounds familiar that I heard of a gun doing that in Call of Duty series. This hybrid assault rifle in SMG was called the MCAS. Obviously too, since it was switched from an assault rifle to a submachine gun, it changed how the gun performed. But this gun was seen in the earlier build of Black Ops 3, but was scrapped for unknown reasons. I feel like this gun would have been really cool in Zombies. I think it was probably scrapped due to balancing issue because they had to balance out from the assault rifle and then switch it to the submachine gun because of that mechanic, but it's one possibility why it was scrapped, or they just didn't have any time to work on it. Another assault rifle called the Patriot, but it appears in the pre-alpha build, but nothing else is known about that gun. We're supposed to get the riot shield, another interesting gun that's called the robot gun. What makes it interesting is it's the gun from Advanced Warfare, the M160. It just has a pink texture and just has the KN-44 magazine on it. This one's cut in early development. Now another assault rifle, the classic from Black Ops 2, the M27, was supposed to appear in Black Ops 3, but it was mostly used as a placeholder. I remember there were some videos in the back in the day that you would get the model out of nowhere from a weird glitch that would happen in the multiplayer session. That was it of the M27. And this one was supposed to appear in zombies. Because on the map, the Rising Drug, you use the console commands and obtain the weapon called HK416, you're able to get the M27. I tried it on the Rising Drug, and it looks to be working completely fine. They just needed to update the model and then just change the name and it would have been fine. It was really cut out for no reason because it's completely working fine. Maybe it was just a placeholder item, because they also have the Remington, but that one was a placeholder for the other shotgun that appears in Black Ops 3, the KRM-262. There's other Black Ops 2 weapons in Black Ops 3, you could get from the supply drop. These two weapons were really good in zombies, and it's weird that they cut it out. But probably had to do that since they were trying to make Transit remake into Black Ops 3, but ended up cancelling it. In my other video, they talk about that Transit and Mob of the Dead were supposed to be remastered for Black Ops 3, but ended up getting scrapped. Probably these two weapons were supposed to appear on those maps, but end up getting scrapped together like with the rest of them. The last cut weapon for Black Ops 3 was a pistol called the Cap 40. Apparently it appears in the campaign files and can be found on certain bodies. But I think this pistol is similar to the one from Black Ops 2, the machine pistol. For Black Ops 3 zombies, there was supposed to be customization for the characters, but they're really cut out as they were only shown in pre-alpha footage, as there's some screenshots about them. Is that every zombie character would have supported customizable outfits through the normal means of gaining XP. Some of the icons for the Primus characters that were fully rendered from Black Ops 2, but for the Shadow of Evil characters they were taken from concept art. But most likely, since this was in the era of supply drops, these outfits are not probably going to be earned by XP. They were probably going to be bought out from the supply drop system. But we got the Liquid Divinium in order to make Gobblegum's system. But this customized character will only return back in Black Ops 4. As for that one, you're able to customize some parts of the characters. And for Black Ops 3, we're supposed to get a difficulty meter too. Apparently in the pre-alpha footage or the pre-alpha phase, you were able to select 3 different types of difficulties, each being harder than the last. The first one was called Survivor, which would probably been the normal one. The other one was called Hunter, and the last one was called Exterminator. And it was planned to be one of the most hardest difficulties in this game. Probably following the echoes of Black Ops 2 with custom games as you were able to switch the difficulty from original and easy. But this was cut out for unknown reasons and will only make a return back in Black Ops 4. And there is a cut pack-a-punch variant type of ammo. It was called Honey Business. It has leftover sound files, but it's probably the same sound files used from the Hive attack from multiplayer. As apparently this alternate ammo type would release a bunch of bees and decapitate the zombies. It really sounds like a cool ammo type, but it was cut out for unknown reasons. But they probably could have just made a reskin of the Hive attack from that one operator multiplayer and then called it a day, but I think they want to do something else with it. Maybe one day someone will release a mod map and have this alternate ammo type. For Gobblegums, there were several that were cut out from the game. They're called Brainiac, Center of Attention, Firestarter, Melee Mash, and Toxic Vindicator. Some of these might have been reworked and renamed into the current roster of Gobblegums we have now, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Since we're on the topic of Gobblegums, Liquid Divinium, apparently they were called something else. They were called the Let It Ride tokens. They function the same way of how you obtain them in the game with Liquid Divinium as you buy stuff and explore the zombie map. They were redeemable for the Mega Chew Bubble Blast, which was called the earlier version of the Gobblegum, but they replaced the name to Liquid Divinium, which sounds way cooler than Let It Ride tokens, because Let It Ride tokens sounds something else. Lastly, the last cut thing for Black Ops 3 was in Revelations. It has to do something with the announcer. For that one we have Samantha, but apparently for Revelations we were supposed to get Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man as the announcers for that game. But they were really cut out for unknown reasons, but the files are there. Probably they've forgotten coding that once you complete the Easter egg it plays either the Dr. Monty or the Shadow Man announcer, but that's all pure speculation for me. But anyways, I'm gonna play the voice clips for you.
Kaboom! Bonus points. Carpenter. Double points. Fire sale. Insta-kill. Minigun.
Max ammo. Bonus points. Carpenter. Double points. Fire sale. Insta-kill. Minigun.
And so those are all the cut things for Black Ops 3. Now we're gonna go into Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare has some cut weapons, but not for zombies. Like with the rest, they were probably gonna add them later on, so I'm gonna still talk about them. Infinite Warfare, we were supposed to get the ACR. Guessing it would have been the same one from Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. Another iconic weapon that was cut out was the Riot Shield. Another weapon, the FMG-9 from Modern Warfare 3, was supposed to appear in Infinite Warfare, but was cut out for unknown reasons. And another weapon, which was a heavy machine gun, was the Amio. The machine gun from Cold War and from Ghost, the one that handles it, I think it's the Italian heavy machine gun. It was supposed to appear in Infinite Warfare but was cut out for known reasons. All these weapons appear in the game files. One more last weapon that's called the ARACC, but it is unknown what the type it was. It appears in the game files, but from what I'm thinking, from pure speculation, I think it was probably a futuristic weapon that was supposed to be implemented, but it ended up getting scrapped. In Infinite Warfare, there was a cut Easter egg for the first map of Zombies in Spaceland. This was a planned Easter egg that made the zombies wear space helmets. Seems like they didn't have enough time to finish it or probably forgot about it. The only way to do this Easter egg is to go to round 6000. Well, that's an impossible round to reach unless you're cheating. But it's unknown how the Easter egg would have been triggered. Still, it's not finished, as when you shoot the zombies' heads, like it says in the wiki, they float off in the air and, well, their heads now pop off, and that the helmets would disappear too. Screenshot of it, but I think there's a video on it you can find online. Also, there was unattainable perks, and there's quotes them too of all the characters talking about them. As well, they're not unattainable in the maps. For Shaolin Shuffle, the perk Slappy Tap cannot be obtained by normal means. In the attack of the radioactive thing, the perk Trailblazer cannot be purchased in the map, but can still be unattained via the Skill Hop side quest. I'm gonna play all the quotes for them.
I'ma slap the stank off of somebody around here. Let's burn this town to the ground.
Because sometimes you just have to slap the shit out of someone. More than once. I just hope this doesn't burn a hole through my underpants. I didn't bring a backup.
I'm ready to slap the shit out of somebody. Yeah, let's burn rubber, baby.
This sounds like a good time in a box. And that's my kind of party. I'm like a human hot rod over here. Woo! That sounds like a superhero. A guy could get used to that.
And so those are all the cut stuff for Infinite Warfare. But anyways, on to Call of Duty World War II. Call of Duty World War II. Call of Duty World War II has one of the most shortest weapons lists that were cut from all of the series. It has two cut weapons, the Type 99 LMG and the Carcano M1938. These two guns were supposed to appear in World War II but didn't and was cut for unknown reasons. From the wiki, Call of Duty World War II has the least cut content in terms of zombies. So that was Call of Duty World War II. Now on to the final game, Black Ops 4. Now Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 is infamous because, well, there was a lot of changes that took out a lot of fan favorite stuff. And this had the most cut maps on the list, more than World at War. Because World at War had 5 cut maps, but Black Ops 4 had 7. And there's a lot, because remember they did a separate storyline, the Chaos storyline, along with the Aether storyline. 3 for each storylines too. So first we're going to start with the Chaos storyline. One map for the Chaos storyline was going to be based in Morocco. It was supposed to release after DLC 2, after Dead of the Night. And I guess this map was supposed to be a reference to Casablanca, but I have no clue about that film since that's an old film that released in 1942 but takes place in French Morocco when French had Morocco under their control. I guess this map would have been a huge reference to that, but I'm not sure. This map was planned to release after DLC 2, but never got the rounds to be worked on. I guess it was very early on to development, so they just scrapped Morocco. This was early in development when the Chaos storyline was going to be the main focus for Black Ops 4 too. Reason I say that because the next map was called Russia. And I guess this map, since the Chaos storyline takes place during 1912 and 1918, so the Russian Empire was still around, and I guess this map would have taken inspiration from Rasputin and his weird dealings with the occult stuff. Well, it is believed that he did occult stuff. And I guess that would have fit in with the Chaos storyline, but the Russian DLC was scrapped because it was supposed to be released after the Morocco DLC, after DLC 3, and I guess it was supposed to be the last one in the Chaos storyline. This map was planned before they were going to include the Aether storyline into Black Ops 4. We're going to mainly focus on the Chaos storyline because after Black Ops 3, well, they thought the Aether storyline was finished, but they ended up coming back to finish off the Aether storyline with Black Ops 4. And so we got a split development from the Chaos storyline and the Aether storyline. But there was one more map that was supposed to be planned for the Chaos storyline, and apparently for this map it had a model too, but this map was called Blue. The model name was called Earth Throne Room Waterfall, and this map was supposed to be released after Ancient Evil, which was the last map for the Chaos storyline and also the last bit of the Chaos storyline, as it finished off with the Ancient Evil map, and we never get to see the Chaos storyline ever again. But I think what Blue is, because there's not much details about it, since the Chaos storyline takes place in a mythology type of setting, well, I think of 3 settings for this map. What can it be? This is pure speculation because I'm going based off the model name and the map name, which is called Blue. Probably this map would have taken place in Atlantis. Since Ancient Evil takes place in Greece, probably the next thing would be more Greece inspired, so it probably would have been Atlantis. That's gonna, I think, when it says Earth Throne Room Waterfall, but that's not highly likely, but I'm thinking more of Atlantis. That's most likely because, well, it started to take place more in mythology type of setting, and, well, the last map was Greece, so it was probably more inspired with Greece. The 2 other ones are probably not less likely, but the second one could have been Journey to the Center of the Earth, as well I'm going based off the name of the Earth Throne Room, so it would have been inside the Earth's core. That's I've seen probably a lot, but it would have been like that. The third one could have been in Persia, or modern day Iran as it's called, and it would have taken place in the old empire city of the old Persian Empire, Achaemenid Empire, when they were still going around with Zoroastrianism. And it would probably been taking place in the old capital of this old empire. Basically, that city was the main basis of the empire and the main trade hub of the capital city. Well, since this was like the first empire that connected both of the continents, with Africa, Asia, and Europe, it would have been probably taking place with the Earth Throne Room, as basically this empire was the main first empire that connected these worlds. And probably that's why it's called the Earth Throne Room. But then again, that's all pure speculation. We have no more details about this map, as apparently this would have been the last map, but it got scrapped altogether. And that was it for the Chaos portion of the scrap maps. Now onto the Aether storyline. Now again, there was 3 scrap maps for the Aether storyline. Remember in the Black Ops 3 section that they said that they were going to do Transit Remake? Well, apparently there was going to be a Transit Remake or Remastered for Black Ops 4. They said that this map was supposed to release after Tagdar Tilton. Most likely it would have been a remastered because after Tagdar Tilton, well, that ends the Aether storyline. And well, apparently there was a bunch of models and textures for this Transit Remake, but never got to see because Tagdar Tilton ended, and well, the Transit map ended up getting scrapped. Probably this is where the rumors started with Zombie Chronicles 2, because the next map that was scrapped was Buried. Buried was planned for the Aether storyline. It probably would have gained more backstory on Monty, because apparently Monty was in the buried town. I'm not sure yet, because after Black Ops 3 I ended up dropping the lore. But this probably would have been a major link to Dr. Monty for this type of map. Now there is some assets in the Blackout portion, because there's some areas that look like Buried. That might be wrong, it would have been probably a remastered for Zombie Chronicles 2, because this is where the rumors first started. But I'm gonna be wrong on that because these are rumors. There was never a planned idea for Zombie Chronicles 2. It was probably thrown around the office, but never got finalized. But like with the other maps, this was scrapped altogether. But there was one more map that was gonna be totally different from Tagdar Tilton, and this map was called Great War. Now the map ID file for this name was called Origins, and this was supposed to be the last map in the Aether storyline before Tagdar Tilton replaced it. Seems like the Primus crew were gonna go back in time and fight in the original Great War, probably changing some of the events. Or a second Great War was supposed to happen. And most likely this would have been an all-out map because it was supposed to end the Aether storyline. In the files there are some textures around because they have Crusader outfits, but that's about it. Then again, we don't know if it was supposed to be a second Great War or the original one in the first place because it says that we were supposed to take place after Tagdar Tilton after the full thing ended, or it might have replaced Tagdar Tilton instead. Because Tagdar Tilton is not called DLC 4, it was called something else. We don't know yet because there's not that much information about this cut map. But we gotta use pure speculation on this map. If it was gonna end the Aether storyline, I wish we got this instead of Tagdar Tilton, because Tagdar Tilton is kind of eh. At least we got the Victus crew again. I feel like they should have went out an all-out ending for the Aether storyline. Black Ops 4 has some assortment of weapons that were cut, and now, thank God, wonder weapons too. First, let's talk about the normal weapons, and then we'll end off this video with talking about the wonder weapons. For Black Ops 4, most of the weapons were from Black Ops 3 and were supposed to be transferred over. So the KN-44 that was supposed to be transferred over can still be seen in the game files and can be seen in one of the maps. You're supposed to get the HVK-30. Apparently there's a leftover HUD icon for that gun. You're supposed to get the FFAR, which was going to be the FAMAS, but it was going to be a 4-round burst. This gun appears in the pre-alpha build from early 2017. You're supposed to get the BRM, the light machine gun from Black Ops 3, but there's still leftover HUD icons for the gun. You're supposed to get the SVJ-100, but it only appears in HUD icons, but only in UI concepts. You're supposed to get the Dracon, but only appears in the 9 trailer, in the Zombies trailer. We're supposed to get the MR6, you know, the starting pistol from Black Ops 3 Zombies, and also to the regular pistol in multiplayer. It was cut out for no reason. You're supposed to get the KRM-262, but again, cut out for no reason, and still has leftover HUD icons in the game files. You're supposed to get the Brecci, but it only appears in the Chaos Story trailer. And finally, the last weapon that was supposed to appear was the minigun, the Death Machine. I think this is the Death Machine by itself. Only the icon remains, but it seems like they were trying to do the same thing like what they did with Mob of the Dead, where you could get the Death Machine out of the mystery box. It is very likely that this gun was cut in early in development, as it was probably repurposed to be the specialist weapon for Tank Dempsey, since he is the one by default to use the minigun. There's another weapon called the GKS SMG that was cut from Black Ops 4. Later appeared in the later franchise with Cold War. For this weapon, for the GKS SMG, it appeared as a placeholder for Black Ops 4, the earlier builds of the game. The weapon, the knife, apparently was cut out from Black Ops 4. It was the knife from Black Ops 3 specifically. It's kind of weird because the knife from Black Ops 3 appears in Cold War, which doesn't make any sense because it's just a knife, so it's kind of weird that this was cut out. And lastly, one of the last weapons that was cut out was a riot shield, the specific one for zombies, as this one takes the model from Black Ops 2 of that riot shield. It's likely that this was a placeholder. And again, it was probably going to be used for the Black Ops 2 maps that were supposed to be remade in Black Ops 4. My other video when I talk about the cut maps, I did talk about that they were going to remake Transit and Buried for Black Ops 4. They ended up getting scrapped altogether, so probably the riot shield was one of these victims too. But for all the other weapons, it is kind of weird that they were cut out. They're all from Black Ops 3, but it seems like they were going to add them on later on. I'm not sure yet because I know Black Ops 4 was the last game to have the supply drops. Because I know there's some Black Ops 3 weapons in Black Ops 4, but I might be wrong on that because it's been a very long time I ever played the multiplayer or even touched that game. But it's likely that all these weapons were probably placeholders. Or being the semi-upgraded version of those weapons because I know Black Ops 4 takes like 20 years before the events of Black Ops 3. It's halfway into the future, so they're probably going to do something different. Black Ops 4 has a lot of cut content. Maybe I'll do a video on the whole cut content basis for Black Ops 4. Anyways, those are all the normal weapons. Now we're going to talk about the cut wonder weapons. There are 4 cut wonder weapons for Black Ops 4. 2 are from the Chaos storyline. This wonder weapon was called the Amulet Fist. It was cut from the Chaos storyline as it would have been a handheld amulet with a melee attack and a second ability similar to the Primordial Hands from Ancient Evil. It was later reworked into the Eye of Apophis. This was another Amulet Fist type of weapon, or a melee weapon, or probably a beam weapon, but it's called the Hands of Gaia. It's supposed to appear in Ancient Evil. The weapon is found in the game, but it has no function at all. Probably would have been something similar to the melee weapons in Ancient Evil. Those were the 2 cut wonder weapons for the Chaos storyline. Let's talk about the other 2 that were cut for the Aether storyline. One of these wonder weapons would have brought back the jet gun from Transit. You know, the one that's the best and the worst wonder weapon because the Transit wonder weapon blows up when you overuse it. Probably they were going to slightly rework it when they were doing the Transit map because they were remaking the Transit map for Black Ops 4 but ended up getting scrapped, which I talked about in my other video. Apparently they were working on a rework because it says that in one of the commands says that it never overheats. If they implemented it in the game, this would have been probably the best wonder weapon of all time. You know, the jet gun infinitely sucks the zombies off and kills them instantly. Since Transit got cut, that got axed too. The last cut wonder weapon, which is really surprising, was the original Wonder Waffle DG2 that was supposed to appear in Tagdor Tilton. Tagdor Tilton has a Wonder Waffle, but it's a different variant of it. The model does load in Tagdor Tilton, but it cannot be used at all, and even 2 had an upgraded model too, but it was cut out for no reason. For Black Ops 4, there was 2 cut game modes, and they were scrapped altogether. One was Greed from Black Ops 2, which was basically the same thing just for Black Ops 4. But the other one was called Treyarch Custom Mutations, as this was a planned game mode that would offer specialized modes for each type of map, and have custom mutations for them. The mutations would swap out and rotate every week, only for that specific zombies map. Now these 2 were cut out for unknown reasons. The other cut thing was called the Mutant Cookbook. It was announced for zombies but was quietly scrapped for unknown reasons. It would have been gave you the ability to craft elixirs and talisman, and there's some code of it still in the game, but you will only see the menu icon for it. But another big thing that was cut out was that they were going to put factions in the game. You were allowed to get seasonal rewards such as calling cards and cosmetics by completing some of the things exclusive for that faction. There's 4 primary factions for the game: Bloodfaith, Tempest Nove, Dustborn, and the First Legion. It was planned for zombies at launch but it got delayed, and before it got quietly cancelled. There are some data mined logos for the 4 factions and for the cut concept art. Since we're on the topic of factions, there was supposed to be something called calling artifacts for each faction. But it seems like their collectibles are probably just lore bytes if you collect them around the map for that specific faction, as there's 13 collectibles for each faction. All of them have it. Now, they're only string of code and that's about it, but I'm going to show you some of the artifacts from the text with the show for you. For this one we have Bloodfaith, for the next one Dustborn, and the next one after that the First Legion, and lastly Tempest Novi. All these artifacts connect to the zombies factions in some sort of way, but we may never know as well. They completely cut this out of the game. I'm not sure when the faction system restarted because I think there were some factions in Cold War, but I think I might be wrong. But I think I know there were some factions with some of the gods and Vanguard zombies. You guys can correct me in the comments, but I think that they said that the 4 gods had their own separate plans and that they were doing something with some of the Dark Ether world. That would happen in the future with Vanguard, but I might be wrong in that. You guys can correct me on that. But it still goes to show you that no matter what of how cut it was, they're gonna bring it back no matter what. But maybe one day, as some don't even return at all. And there was supposed to be a cutscene for Alpha Omega. As the mocap artist for Diego and Takio, Travis Wong, he revealed that he was doing mocap work for both characters. Due to the timing of it, it can be presumed work for Ancient Evil and Alpha Omega, but in those later maps, they didn't have any cutscenes or cinematic cutscenes whatsoever. It is unknown what this cutscene was for, and it was probably cut due to early development. An asset called Old Dempsey that was created by Hyman Studios was shown in the early 2019 showcase showing an older version of Dempsey. It is unknown what this asset was used for, but we have the head model and the mesh for it. Probably could have fit in with the zombie storyline with some of the old maps with the cut map of Great War. It could have probably been used for that or something else entirely. Since on the topic of the Great War map where it was cut out, we were supposed to get Crusader zombies, like the one from Origins. These guys were slightly distinctive from the Templar zombies from Origins. We only have the body texture of the Crusader zombie, and that was it. There was a planned mini boss that was cut out from the Aether storyline, and it was called the Brute. There's only concept art of it, and this asset was created by Activision Shanghai, and it would have been debuted in a DLC map. But this was scrapped altogether and was reworked into the Megaton for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War for their machine. And now onto the equipment, as there was a lot of cut equipments for Black Ops 4. There was one equipment called the Thermite, which is just some old regular thermite grenade, and I'll show you, there's a little video of it in the wiki and I'll show it to you. The thermite grenade was replaced by the Molotov, but the Molotov, which is just a regular old Molotov, was replaced by the Ray Fire. Well, those two equipments got scrapped altogether. There's another equipment called the Cluster Grenade, which is just the same thing as the title says, it just shows off a lot of grenades and that's it. This is overridden by the Acid Bomb. Still would have been really cool equipment to have in the game, but probably would have most likely killed you. Another one, a Shock Grenade, which electrocutes and stun nearby enemies, the Concussion, same thing as it is, Flashbang, EMP, Tesla Coil, it is unknown what this was used for, and finally the Tomahawk. And again, there was unknown reasons why these are all cut together, as they're still loadable and some of them still have the commands for them. The next scrap thing, well, it's going to be really a big thing because, well, everyone wanted these 3 perks in Black Ops 4. These 3 perks were Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Widow's Wine. Remember, Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Widow's Wine were all cut together from Black Ops 4. Juggernaut for a specific reason as it increased the maximum health, but they didn't want any crutch perks, according to Jason Blundin. And this was a very controversial decision for Black Ops 4 as Juggernaut was everyone's fan favorite perk, and they just end up removing it altogether. But they describe these perks as clutch perks, as for Widow's Wine and Speed Cola, they're on the same thing as Juggernaut. They wanted to balance the game and not to heavily rely on these crutch perks. And for Widow's Wine, well, it was replaced by Winter's Wail. And many people were pissed off by the removal of Juggernaut and Speed Cola. But even though Juggernaut was not in the game yet, they increased the health to 200. As well, they were still trying to figure out how to really balance it out between the new health system and with Juggernaut. But they were able to fix it when Black Ops Cold War came out. For Speed Cola, well, that only came out in post-launch, as they did an update that they reintroduced the reload speed buff, but when you get all 4 of the perks. And also too for purchasing the bonus ability for the modifier perk. The thing is, Juggernaut and Speed Cola appeared in the early build of Black Ops 4 and 2018 build. But thank God for Black Ops Cold War and many of the fans' outcry that we got Juggernaut and Speed Cola back again. We're still waiting for Widow's Wine as it's completely disappeared off the map. Maybe in Black Ops 6 we'll get to see Widow's Wine. There was 3 cut elixirs that were supposed to be in the game. One was called Board Games, which will fix one board at the barrier and fixes all the board at the barrier at the same time, but you only get the points for the first board repair. One was called Crawl Space, that all nearby zombies become crawlers. And lastly, the last one was called Respin Cycle, which just respins the weapon in the mystery box after it's been activated. I know some of these were in Black Ops 3, but they were weirdly cut out for Black Ops 4 even though they have the remnants in there. There was 2 unused elements that were supposed to appear in the game. One was called Extra Cluster Grenade, and the next one was called Extra Molotov. Well, since you already heard about the equipment, these were intended for the equipments that were cut out from the game altogether. But all these icons still appear in the game, and some of their code still appears in the game too. And lastly, the last thing that was cut out for Black Ops 4 was supposedly narrative rooms. At one point they were meant to be accessible, but they were really cut off for no reason. In the code, some of the rooms were named Lore Room and Narrative Rooms, and some of the AI bots have movement logic to enter these rooms. These are probably some of the things for the Easter egg, as you could hear some of the cutscenes and dialogue for it, but they were really cut out for unknown reasons. And so that was for Black Ops 4 of all the cut content. This had a lot of cut content for zombies, and there's still a lot of cut content in the regular multiplayer mode, which is really wild because there was a lot of ideas thrown around for Black Ops 4 and they were all cut together in the last minute. But anyways, that's all the cut content for Black Ops 4. Now we're going on to the next game, which is really surprising that some of you may know this, and well, some of you may. I already knew about this. We're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare 2019. For Modern Warfare 2019, there was supposed to be a zombies mode included in the game, but they scrapped it all together because they want to make Modern Warfare into a realistic feeling type of world and type of universe. And they didn't have the flexibility to put zombies in the game, as it would completely compromise the whole feeling of realism and the aesthetic of it. It was planned for Modern Warfare, but only the things that remains about it is the concept art for it. It was scrapped in favor of doing Spec Ops for Modern Warfare, as they wanted a grounded and realistic co-op mode. Apparently there's been several prototypes made before the change of the old zombies mode, but only a few leftover code remain in the game files. And while Modern Warfare got their zombie mode with Modern Warfare 3, I think the whole realism went out the window because I think Modern Warfare Z is canon in the campaign. I might be wrong, but it seems like it is because Soap and General Shepard are in Modern Warfare Z. So yeah, I think you could blame Activision for that, as probably Infinity Ward didn't want that to happen. So that's Modern Warfare just for the zombies mode. This was the next comeback for zombies, and this was for Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops Cold War. For Black Ops Cold War, there was a cut Easter egg on the Outbreak map of Armada. If you swim far below the map, it will cause the map area name to change to Davy Jones' Locker. It only appears in the entire underwater area below a certain depth, but due to continuous water damage, this cannot be seen. But there is a video on it online. And there's also a lot of cut weapons for Black Ops Cold War. Now my other video where I talk about some of the cut weapons, well, they were not included in that portion of that video, as I only went up to Black Ops 4. But since I'm going to talk about all the rest of the cut stuff, it's going to be in this video. But most of these weapons were just placeholder weapons, so I'm not going to talk about them, I'm just going to show you the list for it. As they're just rewording of the gun, and they rechanged them when the game finally released. And also too, when those DLC weapons were finally finished and when they released for those each type of season. All these weapons are virtually the same weapons as when they released, so here you go, here's the long list. It's a pretty long list for placeholders, but they're there, and it's just really in the files, and that was it. There was no any other cut weapons for the game Black Ops Cold War. But maybe in the future with more data mining and more stuff getting out, we'll probably see more cut weapons and more cut content. But there was one perk that was cut off from Cold War, and it's an old classic, and I didn't even know this as I didn't even notice it, but Double Tap was supposed to appear in Black Ops Cold War. But you can see the Easter egg of Double Tap, the poster for it in one of the maps. I think in one of the Outbreak maps it's called Diesel. But it's the Dark Ether version jingle that could be found in the game files. And we never got to see Double Tap ever again. Another one, Game Rules, that appeared in the pre-alpha build for Cold War. It's just the same thing as Black Ops 4 that helped something similar with custom mutations and that you could customize some of the matches. But this was cut out for unknown reasons. And another early iteration of Outbreak, which was called Operation Requiem, was set in the large-scale Ural Mountains map, and was called Operation Requiem. Rather than spawning in different fireteams maps, after every exfil, players would spawn in a singular map area that was sectioned off, and the area would change after every successful exfil. And lastly, two things before I cut into section for Cold War, there was two HUD icons that were supposed to appear in the game. Samantha Maxes for Dear Machine, and Priot for In the Dark Ether. Now they can be found in the game files, but that's about it, and they were cut out for unknown reasons, again. But those are all the cut content for Cold War. Now onto Vanguard Zombies, which is arguably one of the worst zombies experiences in Call of Duty history. Call of Duty Vanguard. Call of Duty Vanguard, there was only one cut weapon for it. The Chachin LMG, which was planned to be added in post-launch but was scrapped for unknown reasons. The model of it remains in the game, but no textures of it. That was the only cut weapon for Vanguard. Now for the rest of the zombies content. Apparently there was an early icon for the healing specialist that exists in the game. There's some voices that have been left over from Cold War. It's just the announcer saying Crank, Jingle Hells, Ho Ho, and Gunbeam. There's one unused voice line for Nortis, as he's talking about the wonder weapons.
Gun-game. Wonder weapon. I don't have to wonder what it does. Cranked. Jingle.
Now as of so far, those are all the cut content for Vanguard. But in the future, there might be more stuff that might be added to the cut content portion. This game just recently released, which was 3 years ago, and there's stuff that needs to be found still to this day. I mean, there's still people still finding stuff from the older Call of Duty Zombies modes, and probably Vanguard might take a long while in order to find those. And so that's the last cut portion for all the Zombies mode. There hasn't been any for Modern Warfare Z, but in the future, many stuff will probably come out, as that game was really rushed for Modern Warfare 3. So I can predict that there was probably a lot of cut content for that. One day there'll be a massive treasure trove. So Call of Duty Vanguard is the last thing I'll talk about for cut sections for a while. And on to the closing thoughts. So if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for sticking around the end. I know it might be a long video, but thanks again for sticking around. And possibly in the future when more cut content gets released, I'm gonna update this list. But that's a huge possibility because there's a lot of things that have been probably forgotten to time. As there's probably a lot of cut content that was just thrown around by words but never got fully utilized in the whole concept art or even on the drawing phase. So there's probably much more, but again, probably lost to time. Also too, if you made it to the end of the video and if you still haven't subscribed, well, you could try right now. Also too, you can like and comment, and also too, follow my Twitter. But anyways, hope you guys have a nice day. This is Mazer Argo signing out.